oro mai ki Tahiti nui, oro mai e te whānau, oro mai e te taeake, tūro oro mai. Tūro means welcome. Welcome, friends. Welcome to the National Geographic Resolution. We welcome you into the realm of the spiritual place, French Polynesia, Tahiti nui. But when you leave, you will leave as family, because you will experience the joy, you will experience the sorrow, you will experience what we have to share with you. Tūro, tūro.
Today is our first day in the South Pacific here in Polynesia. We are on the island of Moorea, and we had this opportunity to walk through this gorgeous primeval forest with huge ferns, giant trees. We got to learn about the history of some of the first settlers here in Polynesia. There are a number of temples and places where people lived, and you can see the sort of remnants of those throughout this forest habitat.
So someone that is going to have a patio or a porch out in front of his house is someone of high ranking. So this would have been a site of a high ranking individual in this commune.
Today we're on the island of Tahaa, known throughout French Polynesia as the Vanilla Islands. We're visiting this vanilla plantation that is family owned, and it's a business that pulls in all the vanilla supplies from around the island of Tahaa. They bring it to this plantation and processing place where they pick out all the good vanilla to be used and exported. Then they pick out the next level of vanilla that they use to break down into powders and into pastes that they can sell and put out on the market.
Do you see the roots on the plant? Yes. They're fixed by themselves on the hose, but don't kill it. Vanilla is not a parasite plant. Oh, okay. This is how it looks like a vanilla flower. You can see it's a kind of orchid. Do you know where come from originally the vanilla plant?
Madagascar.
Mexico.
Tapu tapu atea no te pō. Tapu tapu atea no te ao. Tūro oromai. So that was a greeting for you, and also being a descendant of this marae here, I welcome you. With the National Geographic Resolution, this is her first time in Polynesia, as you all know. It's only right that we bring National Geographic Resolution and all the family that she has on board into the realm of the spirituality of this place that we're in. I will do a chant, which will be a blessing for the National Geographic Resolution, our ship, and in bringing her into the family of vessels that are being blessed by this special place, and giving her the goodwill and the right to continue on throughout Polynesia under the guidance of the spirits that we have here with us today. Pari mai matou. Te ia ta matou pahi of the National Geographic Resolution. Te toa moana o matou. Te toa moana o Lindblad Expedition. Te toa moana o te ao mā ohi. Te haretu nei, te arofa i a otu. Tumue kapu. Tumue kapu. Kapurunga. Kapuraro. Kapu tote moana nui a hiva. Ie koko! Tapu tapu atea. The significance to all of Polynesia is so huge. A place of communities of chiefs from so many different islands around all of Polynesia. This here is the center piece for all of Polynesia.
Your Honor, we find ourselves in Wahine Island, one of the most important, or the second island in vanilla production here in French Polynesia. We're gonna take an interesting ride on a local bus that will take us basically to all sacred areas that we're planning to visit today.
So this is known as the Rebel Island. And it still has a reputation for people that are very giving and kind, but don't tread on me. The banyans coming out of the left side, it's where they put the images of the ancestors, and just like Easter Island, or the Marquesas, or Hawaii, it's called an ahu. Here, it's a marae, and there's the altar that's called an ahu. So the images of the ancestors here weren't huge stone statues like on Rapa Nui or Easter Island. They were smaller and carved from wood.
And we're also going to have this great opportunity to visit the Polynesian Museum that stands in this little place.
The story was based mostly on linguistics. 1,000 years ago, you've got French Polynesia, the Cook Islands between here and Hawaii, 900 years ago, Easter Island. Then 750 years ago, leaving canoes on Raiatea, people went and settled New Zealand. And they became the Maoris, right?
One of our last stops will basically be to visit the interesting blue-eye freshwater eels that are normally over this area.
Well, yeah, the eels are hiding under the cement wall in a cavern, so I'm trying to get them to come out here with the fish. You can see the little fish swimming around, which is what they would be eating if they weren't, well, pretty much domesticated. I don't think they even bother with those fish. But look, normally the eels live in rivers. They hunt small fish, shrimp. They'll eat larvae, dragonflies, bugs, whatever. Sometimes you can tell they're super hungry and they're all fighting over the fish, and sometimes they're barely moving. What day is it today? Friday?
Visiting French Polynesia and anywhere in the Indo-tropics wouldn't be complete if you didn't take a little time and put your face in the water just to see the happenings of the coral reef. It's an incredibly unique structure. Coral reefs comprise a very small part of the marine ecosystem, less than 1%, but they account for a massive proportion of the biodiversity of marine life worldwide. So we just have to take a little time to go out and snorkel. Society Islands are a beautiful place for this operation.
Today we're visiting the island of Makatea. We just left the Society Islands and now we're entering into the Tuamotu archipelago, where we will spend many days exploring the area. Makatea is a very special island. This is an uplifted coral atoll, one of the few in the world.
That's so pretty. I'll try to get some background.
Makatea was at one point a phosphate mine. For 60 years they exploited this island. When it wasn't economically feasible anymore, they just stopped. And in less than 2 months, from 3,000 people that were living here, it went down to 100.
The contract that they had before, that's for 90 years operation, from 1906 to 1996. But it stops in 66. Why? Just because all the qualified labor and the army need those people to follow them, to set up
The nuclear power.
yeah, the nuclear, you know.
It's a very unique place in French Polynesia. There are many different things that make this island special. It's a beautiful forest area. We have endemic species of birds, and we have the grotto.
Is this where the cave is?
This is it.
So exciting. Thank you.
The name Makatea actually has a linkage to the fresh water source that you can find here. The rock, the coral rock left behind is so porous that it just permeates. All the rainwater comes through the stone all the way down, and it flows in streams underground all the way to the shore. And in this cave we find this fresh water coming from the rain, dripping up from the roof in these big, beautiful vaults where people were swimming today and having fun. It's I've never seen this in any other island like that in French Polynesia.
The uplifted coral reef of Makatea is an incredibly beautiful place to go on land, but that coral reef still exists and thrives underwater. We get a chance to poke our heads beneath the waves and take a look at the thriving community of underwater invertebrates, as well as fish and other creatures that make their home just offshore of this incredible island. One of the top predators of this ecosystem is the white-tip reef shark. It's a delight to find them living in their home and the sign of a healthy ecosystem.
one day, the editors were all standing in their office. There were 3 photo editors at the time, and they all realized they were looking for somebody to shoot a story in Canada.
Just inside the bar here is the aquarium of Rangiroa, right inside the pass. Many coral species live inside the break here, and it creates a habitat especially for juvenile fish, things like wrasses and parrotfish and small butterfly fish, even the sargents that are absolutely everywhere. We were totally swarmed by them today. It's a really special place to get to dive and get to snorkel for a little bit, and it's clear to see why it's called the aquarium. Juvenile fish and coral species are so abundant here because of the warm water and nutrient-poor conditions that allow for coral habitat, but also we're just inside the atoll here, and that cuts down on the harsh wave energy of the open ocean a lot. So it's much easier for small, dainty, delicate fish to grow up to be big, strong, hardy fish.
Yes, because I'm just thinking, Sam, if we have them there and something happens to them.
Your Honor, this is the National Geographic on 16. Go ahead.
Okay, Waita, this is Captain in Island Kauai.
Good morning, sir.
This is our first time ever in Kauai.
Je suis ici avec Riri Fatou. I'm here with Riri Fatou. And he was born on this island, has lived here his whole life.
Kauai, c'est un bateau qui est en train de pêcher.
So this island is Kauai, and that means like a boat that is fishing.
Et maintenant, il y a l'artisanat, il y a un peu de tout.
So people make their living here from copra, which is dried coconut, and that's really the mainstay of the economy. Really, most people make all of their money from copra.
Breaking open the coconuts to get them ready to dry, because a common livelihood for people on these islands is to be copra culture, meaning that they live and they make their money from drying the coconut.
On l'empile, hein, à chaque fois. Le temps. Si le soleil est bon, ben...
But of course, they'll also fish a little bit, and then now more and more there's some artisan work and a little bit of everything.
Je suis né ici, j'ai été à l'école ici, j'ai grandi ici.
So everyone here is kind of family, and they're all related to each other.
On est parti à Makemo. Mon grand-père est de Makemo.
So I was born here, I grew up here, I went to school here. I went to school here until I left for Makemu with my grandparents. My grandfather was from Makemu, so we had to go there so I could keep going to school. So yeah, I'll stay here. I do copra, I fish a little bit, and you know, when there's an occasion for something like this to meet people, and that's good too.
This is really gorgeous. You know, at home you couldn't even get it, and this is like manna from heaven, better than anything.
It's a beautiful island. Very simple living, but it's gorgeous.
This is the first time Lindblad has ever come here, and this is just amazing, to Kanuehi. The people are very friendly, welcoming us, and to be the first full cruise ship, first time for Lindblad, it's so exciting, and it's an honor, and it's very interesting to visit this place and meet the people here.
That's all I got.
Today we found ourselves in Tahiti. It's an atoll in the Tuamotu archipelago. We entered through one of the passes on the north side of the island, and an atoll. Back in the day, we had our volcanic activity. It pushed this land up and up. And when we have this little island in the middle of the Pacific, it's a beautiful spot for corals to form. So corals, they secrete this limestone, calcium carbonate structure that goes around the whole island. And then over time, with weathering, the landmass sinks down into the water, and we have left this coral surrounding. So our atoll, we have this ring in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and usually where the fresh water escapes from the island from all the rainfall is where we get this little pass that the ship is able to maneuver through. So we found ourselves inside the atoll, and then, believe it or not, we had a beautiful snorkel spot that we could set up 2 Zodiacs with a platform. We had a nice sandy bottom, coral bommies all around, beautiful colors of the corals for snorkelers to see and weave in and out. Lots of reef fish. We had a few chances to see white-tip reef sharks, black-tip reef sharks, and gray sharks swimming around us. And we found ourselves enjoying these beautiful corals, beautiful reef fish, some megafauna to see, playing all around us. It's just another beautiful day in paradise. So today we found ourselves on the atoll of Hao, still in the Tuamotu archipelago. We positioned the ship just outside of the atoll, and with our Zodiacs we were able to maneuver through the pass onto the inside of the atoll. And with the outgoing tide this morning, you had a 3 to 4 knot current rushing from the inside to the outside. And once we were in there, with the wind rushing from the southeast, we were able to find a nice little cove where we could set up our snorkel operations. The water was super clear, about 40 to 50 meter visibility, and we have these coral structures. The way that they're made, these hard corals, is they secrete their limestone skeleton, and they build themselves up and around. So we had these beautiful bommies to swim around, reef fish engulfing almost the whole coral bommies. And with the water clarity, it was certainly something special and something guests will definitely remember.
Today we are here on the island of Amanu and a small village called Ikitake. And this is the first time that any ship has visited this village. There are about 155 people who live here. And when we arrived, they welcomed us with this beautiful song, traditional musical instruments, wonderful flower leis that they made by hand. The mayor greeted us personally.
And I'd like to present the mayor of this village.
Les enfants vont vous accompagner et arriver là-bas, je vais faire le discours.
Okay, so the children are going to accompany you into the village, and when we get there, I will explain, I will give a speech, and I will welcome you to the village.
And then they walked us through their village, which was beautiful. We came here and they offered us this incredible spread of their local food, which was delicious. Some things like coconut and fish cakes and coconut candy and those sorts of things. They offered us coconut milk served in the coconuts, which was absolutely delightful. They have been more than welcoming, and we are very excited to have this opportunity to visit this island here in the Tuamotus.
We are here to give you a very good welcome to our place.
Nous tenons à remercier spécialement Monsieur Sven de vous avoir envoyé chez nous.
We'd also like to thank Mr. Sven Lindblad for sending you to us.
So after we were greeted with this beautiful spread of food, we were invited to the courtyard underneath the tree here in the center of the city, right next to City Hall. And the children gave us this beautiful dance that was so sweet. And then the children invited some of our guests up to dance with them. The mayor led the children in a traditional dance, and they were very happy to have us as guests, and we were very happy to be here as well. I've learned quite a bit today. They've invited us to take photos. They've invited us to sit and eat with them. And this is the kind of enriching experience that we hope to engage our guests with on a National Geographic expedition. I can think of no better place that exemplifies the National Geographic Society spirit than where we are today here in the Tuamotus. Being in a place like this is so rich visually. You have these beautiful women with flowers in their hair, men that have on their traditional patterned clothing from Polynesia, the children that were wearing traditional clothes with headdresses and flowers and coconut-made skirts, and they are being taught the traditions of this culture. And we were invited in specifically to enjoy it with them, which was an incredible gift and very giving of this community, and for that we are grateful. This is exactly the kind of thing that I love to photograph, being invited into a culture, being able to experience firsthand the beauty, The flavors, the weather, the landscape, all of it is here. Everything that I would ever dream of in Polynesia is right here in this tiny village in the Tuamotus.
I'm speechless. Did not expect anything like this. This is what Lindblad is all about.
We spent the day in the Gambier Islands. This is a tight-knit group of volcanic islands located just off the southeastern end of the Tuamotu archipelago. And this is truly a spectacular place. Now, this is what we all think of when we dream of the South Seas islands. You know, lush and green. This huge lagoon has many openings, and the conditions inside here are perfect for the black-lipped pearl oyster. And the main industry of Mangareva today is the black pearl industry. And everywhere we've gone, we've seen people selling pearls, raw pearls, and also pearl jewelry. It's amazing. I mean, these are beautiful pearls, and they're thought to be the best in Polynesia, coming from right here. The Polynesians have lived here for at least 1,000 years. Nothing much happened as far as we know here until the middle 1800s. In 1834, 3 priests from the Society of the Sacred Hearts came here from Valparaiso and managed to gain control after they converted the king to Christianity, and thus began a stretch of history unlike any other in Polynesia. He is sometimes referred to as the mad priest. He convinced the king to get his people to do construction around here, the likes of which had never been seen before in Polynesia, including the great cathedral, as we call it today. We were welcomed by dancing when we arrived, and it was wonderful. But it was very different, as everybody noticed, than what we've seen in the rest of Polynesia. There's no hip swinging, there's no suggestive dancing here because of Father Laval in the middle 19th century put a stop to that. So, you know, the culture was completely changed at that time. And another thing that happened was the introduction of tuberculosis and the heavy workload that the people had, and changing clothing and loss of culture and religion and everything. The population plummeted from 9,000 with his arrival to just a few hundred. And during his inquiry in Papeete, it is said that his response to the question as to why so many people had died under his tenure, his answer was, "They have but gone more quickly to heaven." Pretty amazing to think of that. And one historian described this as the death of a people. with the coming of the Christian missionaries. Well, we made it to Pitcairn Island. Without a doubt, this is certainly one of the highlights, if not the highlight of the entire voyage. We have wonderful conditions, and it's just a beautiful place. Now, this island is extremely isolated. Along with Easter Island, which is our destination, this is one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth. As I look around, I'm just awestruck by the green, the lushness, the richness of this place. And it also has the richness of history. When it was first discovered and charted, in 1765 or something like that, it was mischarted. They missed the longitude by several degrees. Everybody knows about the famous mutiny on the Bounty and how the mutineers and their Tahitian companions finally found this place. And when they came ashore, they found it was perfect for their habitation because Polynesians had lived here up until about 300 years before they came. And so it was already made habitable with breadfruit trees and banana trees and papaya trees and coconuts and everything they could possibly need for survival. It must have seemed like a paradise and just couldn't have been better. The only problem was they couldn't get along. And after several years, there had been deaths and murders, and yeah, it took them a while to sort that all out, and very few of the Bounty mutineers survived more than just a few years. But their children survived, and there's a population of nearly 50 people here now, and they're very friendly and they're very excited about our visit because they get very few visitors throughout the year.
Here's the Bible.
Bounty Bible.
Yeah, we get various artifacts found all the time, and sometimes just left at the door. This one I got was left behind this morning. Just various nails that have been found in a place by the sugar mill. Nails made from the original Bounty. Copper nails and a bit of pottery from somewhere. We'll try and find where that's from.
So we now have everybody on shore. Some of the locals are going to give us guided walks. We're going to see all the important sites, the historic sites, the natural history sites. And I'm just so excited to be here, as is everybody else.
I think this island is magical. It's just slush, beautiful, lovely people. I'd like to spend more time here.
It was made by Randy Christian on Pitcairn Island, and he is an 8th generation descendant of Christians. So that's pretty amazing. We're happy to have it.
Today is our last day on land in this wonderful explorations of the South Pacific. Today we are at Duchi Atoll, and is a very nice large ring comprised of 4 main islands, and we are setting foot on Arcadia. The whole atoll is a very important seabird rookery, and that's what you're hearing constantly. So we have several species of seabirds. Normally what we do is the silhouettes will tell a lot about the bird and what they're doing. So you have frigates, petrels, boobies, and they nest in the island. All these archipelago, together with Pitcairn and other 2 islands, are part of one of the largest marine preserves in the world that covers over 300,000 square miles of protected area in here. Why they're choosing this beautiful place? There's no predators on the island, and there's plenty of food. So the parents can go, bring food for the chicks, and then you'll just see cover island with all these beautiful birds. It's a majesty of a sanctuary, but not just that. The ocean water is well full of an incredible array of fish life, ranging from Titan triggerfish to sharks. So this place is definitely the best way to wrap a whole archipelago walk through to South Pacific.
It's pretty cool. There's a lot more stuff than I expected.
The trip has been the best trip of a lifetime. We've enjoyed the staff, the boat, the expeditions, the excitement on the Zodiacs, the incredible hikes, just the right amount of adventure and peace and mindfulness. It is perspective changing in terms of seeing all the wildlife, in terms of seeing these beautiful, spectacular islands. But I think the best thing was the people that we've met. We've met incredible people on the islands, and everyone's just so welcoming and warm, as well as the great service on the ship.
Easter Island is very significant because it's the most isolated, inhabitable place on Earth. And people found this place probably in the 10th or 11th century and lived in isolation for hundreds of years. We now feel fairly confident that Polynesians arrived here probably in the 9th century earliest. There are more than 900 moai on the island, and they are essentially individually deified ancestors. So each one indicates a specific person. The earliest statues are very Marquesan-like. Round heads, squat bodies, typical of what you find in most of the rest of Polynesia. And the evolution of the elongated, gigantic structures took place right here in their isolation.
The island is famous for the immense stone statues that were carved by the ancestors in this place. The quarry in Easter Island is a very special place because here most of the statues, over 90% of the statues around the island was carved in this very same place. There's about 300 statues in different stages of completion in this one section of the mountain. the volcanic tuff, the stuff that these statues are made of was the perfect material for the Rapa Nui people to build these statues and move them around to the whole island. This expedition has taken us from Tahiti all the way to Easter Island. I can't think of a better ending to this voyage than the magic Rapa Nui.